Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. And I gotta say, I actually had quite a bit of fun with NXT this week. Of course, I have a bit of my own bias going into this review, which we'll get into later. But we finally rounded out the Women's Fatal 4-Way at TakeOver Houston. We got a great main event between Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong, which tied into a broader story between, Andrade Cien Almas and Drew McIntyre as NXT champion. A tag team got some spotlight tonight, which I'm always thinking about the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And I think we're going to be getting a tag team championship match sometime soon. That was announced, but that part got cut off for me a little bit, so I'm going to need some context on that. But yeah, very productive episode of NXT is my point. And partner, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, man, it's kind of weird actually, because this NXT had some pretty high highs, nothing exceptional, but some pretty good stuff. But it also had some pretty low lows for me.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's just go right with that, man, with our first segment, Heat of the Night. Now, I got no heats of the night, and I got no nitpicks, but, I mean, you even told me before we went live that you had a heat of the night, so floor is yours. Air your grievances.
Yeah, really, it's more, I would say it's probably closer to a nitpick than a heat of the night, but you know how I am. I like to look at the process rather than just seeing what I see in front of me and figure out what led to certain decisions being made. And I'm baffled by some of the decisions that were made during this women's battle royal.
Okay, walk us through it. I'm sure you've taken notes, right?
Yeah, well, I took such extensive notes. I even have the order in which everyone was eliminated. And even though I don't actually have written down who was doing the eliminating, I have a pretty good idea in my head who was doing the eliminating. And I'm sorry, but when Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai are getting eliminated before women like Vanessa Bourne, Aaliyah, and Sage Beckett, and Lacey Evans, of all people, there's a problem now.
Because for you, it's a matter of credibility, because they're implicitly
because to me, I always look to WWE and NXT Battle Royals as kind of a litmus test as far as who they value the most, because the people that get eliminated first, they clearly think the least of, and the people who last till the very end, they're clearly high on. And I usually like to kind of think about that during battle royals. And if that litmus test rings true for the NXT women's division right now, their priorities are beyond fucked up.
I see. Yeah, dude, it's funny because I guess I have a similar mindset as you, right? Because I was even thinking while we were watching this battle royal, I'm like, okay, whoever the final 4 or 5 or however many are, that those women on some level are like, okay, we've got a future for them, or we see them as very credible. But you go even further than that, and you're like, okay, who's outlasting who? Oh God, Lacey Evans has outlasted Dakota Kai. That can't be good.
Dude, Lacey had a great showing as far as a kayfabe perspective, as far as how long she lasted. She made the final 6. From what I heard, there were only 17 people in this entire battle royal, and she made the final 6. So apparently the WWE sees big money in Lacey Evans. And I think that the bigger underlying issue than just, oh, well, they're pushing the wrong people or they're high on the wrong people or whatever, is that it made me realize how few women are spotlighted in NXT, for any kind of arc that they have. Because it seems like at any given time, there's only really one storyline going on in the NXT women's division, and that is whoever is going after the championship. And in this case, we happen to have 4 women going after the championship at the same time because of the circumstances. But for the most part, we only ever had whoever was going after Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship, with the one exception being that one time that we had a weird little mini feud involving a couple of other women. But even then, that ended up translating into number one contendership. So everything comes back to the championship. I want more from my NXT women's division. And maybe I think that they might need to add another women's championship because frankly, there just isn't enough women's credibility to go around with just one.
Very interesting musings and ones that I'd be hard pressed to disagree with. Like just taking it step by step, you pretty much talking about how you want your division to be more substantive in terms of feuds. That's something that I
know that this is a little extreme for the WWE and even for NXT, I guess, at this point. I know that this is really going out on a limb, but I would really like it if the women's division got, I don't know, as much time as the men's division.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of why you're really echoing my sentiments and why I'm in agreement with you. Take a look at this recent mini feud, if you even want to call it that, between Iconic Duo and Ruby Riott. You know, now I feel like they could have done something very interesting there because I think Ruby Riott has major babyface potential. And even just last week on the podcast, you and I had an at-length discussion about how great the Iconic Duo is and why the machine needs to get behind them more and all that stuff. So I'm not going to rehash that in its entirety. Right. But you figure that was only like 2 matches. The story was very light. It was just, oh, Ruby, you're a freak, and like no depth. And even, you know, continuing with Ruby Riott, I thought with her, like when she first came in and she was running interference on Nikki Cross, you know, to neutralize Nikki Cross because the babyface team at the time, Combating Sanity, didn't have a female element. I thought they could have done like a very rich story. Now, maybe my expectations were too high, but the way Ruby talked about Nikki Cross and the way Nikki talked about Ruby, I got like almost a better version of like Victoria and Trish and that whole story. And I wanted some real meat on that bone. And I feel like we never got it. We never even got into second gear with that. So
again, though, like even that, we just recently, like you said, we had the Ruby Riott and Iconic Duo thing, and Nikki Cross was randomly showing up and helping Ruby Riott to win, but we never found out why, and there was never any follow-up on it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating because there are so many talented women in the division right now. And yeah, I mean, I could add on, like you saying, you know, it seems like the wrong women are being pushed, or, you know, maybe WWE sees certain value in other women.
I think that's more the subjective side of me.
Yes.
Like, I have a pretty decent eye for talent, and it seems like the people that the WWE is more interested in pushing are the people that have been in the WWE system rather than just pushing the best workers.
Oh, dude, I can tell you, I'm hella biased because I can even tell you, like, I wasn't happy that Nikki Cross won tonight.
Well, that was another complaint of mine, was that they made Billie Kay look very foolish, and they did it because Nikki Cross is literally the Kushida of NXT right now.
I agree with the whole, like, Billie Kay looking foolish. Why I didn't like Nikki Cross winning, though, I feel like it undermines the story that you've been in the process of telling. Nikki Cross already got one opportunity in one of those triple threats.
And that was what we got at the beginning of this show, with William Regal coming on and saying that he was going to give Nikki Cross a spot in the Battle Royal because she felt like she got screwed out of that triple threat because of Tainara Conti.
Which, I mean, I guess is fair, right? Because of interference and all that stuff. But I still, and again, this is my.
It might be fair, but it's not equal.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the Fatal 4-Way because I look at the players involved. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, and there's been talk, could there be like NXT, you know, women's tag titles? I mean, that could be an idea to play with. An Iconic Duo better be the first team to win it if that would ever happen.
I mean, yeah, I've seen that, I've read that, I've heard that. I know that there are a lot of people that say that, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't want women's tag titles to just be like random slap together women's tag teams, but at the same time, that's how they would have to do it, at least at first, because other than the Iconic Duo, we don't have any established female tag teams in NXT at all.
No, we do not.
So that would be really difficult. So like the only other thing I can think of is if we would have like a women's intercontinental championship or something along those lines, like another women's championship that's less prestigious than the world championship, that can be like the worker title, because they're going to give the women's championship to whoever the hell they feel like we've already seen it go to Asuka, Bailey. It's not necessarily always going to be like, oh my god, the best worker, the best performer, whatever. It's just going to be whoever NXT wants to tell a story with. And I think that the secondary title can be a title that like a Santana Garrett or a Dakota Kai or I guess a Piper Niven if they want to go that route, or a freaking Abby Lath or a Sarah Logan or a Rhea Ripley can win and have it be believable and have it be a way to sort of catapult them from the relatively unknown, if not only known for the NYC, into the NXT kind of spotlight, and maybe even eventually into the NXT Women's Championship picture. So like a catapult title, like what the Intercontinental title was supposed to be in the 80s and 90s.
I can definitely dig that idea, because I think here's the thing. The women's division, especially in the wake of the NYC, has got a richness to it and a depth that we need to capitalize on. Like, for example, and I've been an advocate of hers, really ever since the NYC. I was very happy to see Mercedes Martinez in that battle royal tonight. I always feel like
she did pretty well, and she didn't do super well because she didn't win, but she did fairly well. She made it to the final four, and then she and Bianca Belair were eliminated by Nikki Cross, because like I said, Nikki Cross is the Kushida of NXT.
Yeah, and seeing Mercedes there, and I've been saying, like, given her experience, I think she's been in the business like 16 years, maybe even 17 at this point, and like I've always kind of looked at her as like that William Regal type, like that savvy vet that'll beat you up, punch you in the mouth to get where she needs to be. And I feel like somebody like that could be a huge asset to the division, elevating other women, because you get in a storyline with a vet like that, and if they always like espouse her credentials and give her the proper presentation, you beat a person like Mercedes Martinez, it's a big fucking deal, especially if you have a workers title in the mix, and then you could look at that person and say, oh, well, she might be a future NXT Women's Champion. What I'm getting at is, no matter how you do it, I think we got to build up more women. And I'll be curious about the state of the division going forward when we have a champion again to kind of be fixated on. But yeah, I mean, I can certainly understand your grievances.
Yeah, like to this, and I think really the whole like, oh, they're pushing the wrong people thing, I don't necessarily want to say that that's my biggest problem, just because there are so many talented women that were in this match. Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things where I want NXT Women's Championship runs from like 10 or 12 of the women that were in this match. Like, I want Mercedes to have a shot. I want Billy to have a shot. I want Bianca to eventually get a shot. I want Candice to win it. I want Sarah Logan to eventually win it. I want Abby Lath to hold it. I want Santana Garrett to be the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion of all time. I want Sage Beckett maybe to get a shot eventually. I want Dakota Kai to be a champion and be like a big deal. I want Rhea Ripley to get a shot. Like, there are so many women in this that stand out to me that I just want to see all the time on NXT television and wrestling in matches that Sasha and Bailey would be proud of, that Sasha and Becky would be proud of. And yet they show up one time a month to either do a job or get thrown over the top rope.
Yeah. It's kind of sad when you put it that way. But that said, is there anything else you wanted to say about this battle royal in particular for our Heat of the Night segment?
I said, man, it's my problem. I don't even think was with the battle royal. My problem was like the overlying issue of the WWE has too much talent to do anything with.
Yeah. And that's a problem, both male and female. I think you and I have touched on many times the past few months on this podcast, because I've told you, like, the oversaturation that WWE is experiencing. And
that's the problem too, is that they're signing people at this point just so that no one else can have them, because they're going to give them a nice salary, give them some decent living style, and if they're signed to NXT contracts, then they don't have to worry about travel quite as much. It's a more comfortable lifestyle than having to hit that grindstone and really go hard on the indies to make enough money to make the extra travel and stuff worth the expense and the hard work and stuff. But at the same time, then that also kind of screws over a lot of other wrestling companies. Like, Leo Rush being the most recent example of a guy I would have loved to see in Lucha Underground, but WWE signed him in between him hitting it big on the indies and the next tapings of Lucha Underground. So it's like, damn, like WWE signed this dude, immediately jobbed him out in his first match. They're probably never going to do anything big time with him. By the time he gets back on the indies, time might have already passed him by. We don't know.
Yeah, it's really a scary place because I've been critiquing this period of oversaturation for a while. You know, I've been quite vocal about it on the podcast because I find it to be very parasitic. You know, you're taking talents away from other promoters. And as far as the talents themselves, to me, it's almost hubristic by WWE in a way because you're signing all these people, but at the same time, like if you sign them, you got to pay them. So you're literally going to bleed money out to pay people to either just do a job or sit around.
Well, no, but that's the thing, though, dude. You can't say they're bleeding money out because $50,000 a year is a lot of money to an aspiring indie wrestler, but it's a drop in the bucket to the WWE. So the WWE can shell out $50, $70, $80, $100,000 lower level contracts, and they're not bleeding money. That's just their, like, you know, that's their freaking electric bill. You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing to them.
I just worry because it's like you're signing people at such a rate and you've got to pay those same people. And I can't fault the people, you know, for wanting that financial security. That's why, again, like I am biased as hell. I will be completely forthcoming about that. But when Neville walked out, I was elated. I'm like, I hope he doesn't come back because, you know, that's a guy now that from an artistry perspective can go back out into the world and really ply his craft and remind everybody who he is. Now, I've read reports that he may be like a Drew McIntyre case where he wants to build his profile up more and then come back and say, look, I'm a main event guy. I want to be a main event guy. And that's fine. But I feel like...
Yeah, and Drew McIntyre did that. And how did that work out for him? He's main eventing, sure, in developmental.
Yeah, but I think if you asked him sincerely, he'd probably think he was in a better place than he used to be. And, you know, I don't know. It's really like a strange case, but like that's my point. I feel like
you know who else main evented in NXT?
Who's that?
Neville.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And now he's gone. And see that's I think my biggest point about this oversaturation period. WWE, because we've been saying a lot. We said it earlier on our Lucha Rewatch commentary, which if you guys haven't checked that out, please do so. Big picture. You know, that's been a term that's been thrown around a lot today. And I think WWE with these signings isn't really seeing the big picture because, yeah, you're signing this guy or this girl now at this stage of their careers. But if you really let them, like, find themselves and keep building that profile, you'd have something more valuable down the line. That's another problem I have with these signings. Like, are you really letting these people become the best performers they possibly can be? It's the same problem they have internally.
You know what, though, dude? I think that's the problem with our line of thought and the WWE's line of thought because they're just different. Because we are looking at it as we want these performers to become the best versions of themselves before getting to WWE. WWE's looking at it as we want to get our claws in them early so that they know no other way. And so that when they become the best version of themselves, it's the best version of themselves as approved by us. And we have them on a lower dollar amount because we signed them before they hit a higher value.
Yeah, it's a great point.
From a business perspective, WWE is doing what most companies would do in their position with their power. The problem is it's bad for the business overall.
Yeah.
WWE doesn't give a shit about the rest of the business because as far as they're concerned, they control how successful the business is. Because when the WWE is hot, the rest of the business becomes hot too. So the WWE's whole thing is like, well, we don't have to worry about the rest of the companies in the world because when we get hot, when we, you know, increase business for us, that increases business for the rest of the wrestling companies as well. So it's like they've basically gotten themselves into a position where they can afford to be selfish and justify it that way. And they don't even have to, you know, see it as being selfish. They can just see it as doing good business.
All right, well, there you go. I think on that note, there's nothing more I can contribute to that. Is there anything else you want to say before we formally get into our NXT review?
Oh, man. No, I think we can get into it now. Hopefully I've gotten all of my sort of complaints and grievances out of the way now.
All right, well, then let us get right into our NXT review. And we open up with William Regal, who I think, according to Paul, announced that we're going to be getting a tag team championship rematch of the members of Sanity banned from ringside next week. I'm guessing the opponents would be AOP since they're owed a rematch.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be Eric Young and Alexander Wolf versus the Authors of Pain, and I guess Nikki and
Killian
Dane are going to be banned from ringside. But I think Regal also announced here that he was going to give Nikki Cross a spot in the Battle Royal.
Right, which would make sense because I honestly was taken aback when I heard her music because I wasn't expecting her in this, but that makes sense. So then we go right into our show and our first match. What was our? Oh yeah, wasn't it the tag match? Our first match: Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch against Tino Sabatelli and Ted Cruz Jr. Riddick Moss. So yeah, what did you think of this tag match, man?
Not much of it. I mean, it was a thing. I liked Oney Lorcan's hot tag, but it didn't last very long. And I actually did like the Boston Sabatelli tag team finisher, but the fact that they even hit it means they won, which is just dumb to me.
You know what, man? I kind of took an opposite approach from you. Now, yes, I love making fun of Riddick Moss because I look at his face and I can't not see Ted Cruz now ever since I thought of it on the first podcast. So that's just going to be my own little running joke there. But I have to say, Tino and Riddick, who I've gotten past all my anger with them being green as goose shit because, I mean, these guys aren't developmental. They're here to get better. I do like the packaging. I like how these guys look. I think if you give them a bit of time, they could be a solid heel tag team in the division. It is kind of cliche because it's like, oh, we're so successful. Oh, we come from this background and we've seen that before. But I think they wear it well, to be fair. And yeah, I mean, Riddick Moss, oddly enough, who I'm making fun of, like I liked his fall away slam to Oney Lorcan, in the corner. I like the teamwork of Tino and Riddick here to, isolate Burch and all that stuff. And yeah, I thought the tag team finisher was cool as hell. That gory special and then the Bulldog. I thought, that's unique. That's different. So yeah, I'm cool with these guys winning, especially because Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, this is their first time teaming up. They've been rivals before this, where we know Tino and Riddick have tagged before. So it makes sense that they'd win given the experience edge if we want to believe that, certain tag teams should have more credibility than others. So I'm cool with them getting the win here. And then to be honest, I'm keeping an open mind to their future because you can never have enough quality heel teams. And yeah, these guys may play an interesting role. So good for them.
I think that if that logic applied across the board, where in WWE in general, if you're a tag team and you're an established tag team and you go against two singles guys who've not tagged before, you have an innate advantage. Like if that logic was universal across the WWE, I'd be perfectly fine with this. Right. But it doesn't, like ever. Like if you see tag team champions versus world champion and intercontinental champion, the singles guys win so many more times than the tag team champions do. Like we've had so many instances where we've complained about the tag team champions getting bitched out for this very reason. And now all of a sudden you expect me to use that logic that never applies anywhere else to this match. I'm not buying into that. So
yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and especially because there's also the other side of the coin where two guys that are rivals, there's an old wrestling logic that says, well, if they've been wrestling a lot, they must know each other really well, and that could give them innate tag team chemistry.
Right.
So I think at the end of the day, this is just a stupid decision. I think that this could have been a really cool spot to make Oney and Danny look like a credible tag team. I guess we're not getting the Dusty Classic this year, which is really disappointing because it seems like you have a pretty decent amount of reasonably established tag teams. I'm still waiting for TM61 to come back because I know that Shane Thorne is healthy and I know he can go because he's been working NXT house shows. So I'm still waiting for them to come back. You've got Lorcan and Burch. You've got Moss and Sabatelli. There are a few other teams now that could, and I guess we're just not doing it this year for whatever reason. We did 2 annual Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, and now it looks like we're either not going to do one this year or they're going to wait until the January pay-per-view.
Yeah, which I hope it's the latter, because I mean, I'd rather get the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic at a later date than not at all. And what's also funny upon thinking about it, I remember saying like in our older NXT reviews when we would see Danny Burch like early on, long before the UK tournament or any of that, where it's like, oh, him and Oni Lorcan, I'd like to see them as a team. Like that's what I said, and then I finally get to see them as a team, and they lose to these guys. So yeah, I hope we get to see them team up again because I'm enjoying the story between these guys. It's nice seeing Oni Lorcan have something to do, and I've actually liked Danny Burch for a while. I think he's like that solid hand type, that if you need somebody to bring a good match out of you or to make you look good, you can, rely on Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan, oddly enough, which is why I think they're such a good fit for each other. So I hope they keep tagging. But yeah, Tino and Riddick get the win here. And yeah, maybe that'll start some momentum. Who the hell knows? And I do hope that we get a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And if we don't, I'll be quite sad about that because I've actually really been excited at the prospect, because we got Street Profits. We got Sabatelli and Moss. There's a lot going on. We got AOP, TM612 return, like you said, which I am stoked for. So yeah, make it happen, NXT. We want our tag team classic, goddammit. So
yeah, what the hell? What the hell are they doing?
All right, what came after this, man?
We got a recap of Tainara Conti's interference that kind of cost Nikki Cross a spot in the NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Championship. Of course, they point out that only one spot remains, and the Battle Royal to determine who that is was up next. So that's what we get right into. Do you just want me to go in order of eliminations?
Take it away, brother.
Okay, so first thing that we get is Nikki going after Tainara and immediately going after her and pretty much eliminating her pretty quickly. Then we get kind of a weird sequence where they knock Rhea Ripley out of the ring, and then she's on the apron, and Bianca Belair has somebody like she's going to do like a fall away slam, and she just kind of spins them around, and their feet end up hitting Rhea like a kick, knocks her off. And then I think Lacey Evans might have been the one that eliminated Zeta. And then I think Sage Beckett got 2 eliminations in a row, Dakota Kai and Aaliyah. And then Nikki Cross came back in because she had been taken out previously. I forget who by. I think it was Tainara, and then I think Peyton Royce got involved as well. And then
yeah,
she gets back in. She eliminates Vanessa Bourne and Sage Beckett and Santana Garrett and Abby Lath and Sarah Like, just knocking everybody out and over the top rope. She eliminates so many people here. Bianca Belair gets a few eliminations as well, and her most impressive elimination by far was on Candice LeRae. She just threw her ass out of the ring. And our final 4 was Bianca Belair, Nikki Cross, Billie Kay, and Mercedes Martinez. So, we get Nikki and Billie going after each other, Bianca and Mercedes going after each other. Nikki and Billie roll out of the ring under the middle rope, not over the top rope, so they're not eliminated. And as Bianca and Mercedes are going at it, they end up outside of the ring because I think Mercedes throws Bianca over the top, and then Bianca tries to suplex Mercedes over the top, but Mercedes lands on her feet on the apron. They're going at it. Nikki Cross does like a crossbody spear thing to both of them, knocking them both out. Billie Kay comes in to try and eliminate Nikki, gets her over the top rope, and then celebrates like she won, but she didn't eliminate her. Then she goes for the big boot, misses, gets hung up on the top rope, and then Nikki gets back in the ring and throws her over the top rope for the elimination. So Nikki Cross is your winner. And again, I keep calling her Kushida because like she's just booked and portrayed like she's just untouchable. She reverses everything. She takes on 5 people at once. She eliminates 2 people at the same time here. She overcomes the odds of straight up just basically being eliminated 3 different separate times during this and not being eliminated anyway. Yeah, I just feel like Nikki Cross is way overpushed right now, and I want to like her because I know she's good in the ring, but it's just so over the top rope.
You're so over the top rope. Yeah, I mean, the most Kushida thing she did tonight was that crossbody that took out a sea of people. Like, that was like, god damn.
I thought the most Kushida thing she did tonight was eliminating Mercedes Martinez and Bianca Belair at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We're in the final 4. We've established that these are the 4 best women left in this battle royal, and you eliminate half the field by yourself.
Yeah. I think you've echoed all my sentiments perfectly. The one thing I did want to say, and I say this tentatively because I don't want to feel duped, but I really am starting to like Bianca Belair big time. Like, it's coming together for her slowly. I'm not going to make any big proclamations yet or whatever, but that spot she did with Candice was really cool. Kudos to Candice, for taking it. And, I think it was Sage Beckett. And I want to say, oh, God, I not Aaliyah. Who else? Sarah Logan, right?
Oh, yeah, that's who it was.
Catching her. Yeah, I almost had a brain fart there. Whew, thank goodness. And yeah, for catching her. And yeah, the hair whip. I'm going to be honest with everybody. I used to think the hair whip was like the stupidest thing, and I still kind of do, but you know what? It's getting a really positive response.
Yeah, I mean, I like the hair whip when it's used correctly, and I think that tonight it was used correctly because Billie Kay had one of the coolest spots I've seen where Bianca clubbed her, and she was already over the top rope and on the apron. And then Bianca clubbed her, and to prevent herself from falling off the apron and onto the floor, she grabbed Bianca's hair and used it as like a rope. And of course, then Bianca had to grab her hair as well and pull from the other side, because if not, then it would have gotten pulled out of her head. And it was just a cool moment. But then that pissed Bianca off, and she started doing the hair whip spot. And it was normally, I agree with you. Normally, I feel like the hair whip spot is really contrived and kind of lame. But when it was used the right way tonight, I think it's awesome, and it got a great response, like you said.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying. It's the same way with Pentagon Dark. I'm trying to separate, how I may feel about certain things from, okay, well, is it getting a positive response from people? And if it's yes, then I can put my feelings aside and say, you know what? There's clearly something here if it's resonant with people, which is what you look for at the end of the day. Yeah. So, yeah, got to give credit to Bianca Belair. She's slowly, really making it up there for me. Obviously, there are so many women here that I, appreciate and respect. Candice, of course, she got a nice reaction from the crowd. It's a shame that she didn't have a bigger impact. I love Mercedes Martinez. Was very happy to see her in the final four.
Dude, she's so good. And that's another, it's another one of those names where it's like, God, I just want her to be a champion, and it just can't happen. Like it's such a big problem that they have so much female talent, and they only have one female storyline going on at any given time, two max.
Yeah. Because I've already said at length the potential I see in Mercedes Martinez, the value I think she brings.
Yeah,
like NXT.
Because that's the thing too, is like, I'm not like a mark for championships. Like as far as Lucha Underground goes, I don't really care. I mean, obviously it's in my mind, but I don't really care who the champion is, who the trios champions are, whatever. Because when you get storylines like Killshot versus Dante Fox and Marty and Phoenix and storylines that have legitimate consequences that aren't championship related, I care less about who the champion is and more about just who has something to do. So if that was the case in NXT, I would just be like, oh, I want Mercedes to get something to do. But I say I want her to be champion because everything in NXT comes back to the championship. The women's championship has been the only storyline that women can consistently get television time with. Everything else that isn't in women's championship contention is once a month at most.
Yeah, and even I, as a guy, and I've said this before, I am a mark for championships. I am marky for a lot of stuff in the business.
There's nothing wrong with that. I just am not that way.
Oh, yeah, and I know, but that's what I love about this podcast is like even you and I who seem to agree on like 95% of stuff, there are still things that we come away as different. But even like here, I do agree with you. It should be about more than the title. That's why I was so disappointed again with the recent iconic duo Ruby Riott, because I'm like, you've got three amazing women here. Do something, and that I think is the most dispiriting thing is when the talent is good, when the problem is we've got some amazing pieces here, but there's no, to me, there's no passion for possibility. And I've accused the WWE product of this before, especially on the main roster, because I think their main roster is stacked. And I think some of the stuff they do is so lazy and so uninspired sometimes. And I'm like, how can you have people this good? And this is what you come up with. And, I know that you can only do so much with 50 minutes of television. God knows I wouldn't want NXT, to go the 2 or 3 hour route. Like, I think it's working in a good pocket. But you know, you've got to be able to spotlight at least one other women's feud outside of the championship, especially with your roster rotation. The emphasis doesn't have to be on the champion or the title when it's vacant, as it is here, all the time, you know? So I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I guess I don't really have much else to say as far as this match goes. Do we want to get to talking about the post-match?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Well, post-match, William Regal does come out to the ring, and I believe he was holding the NXT Women's Championship. And we got a bunch of jaw-jacking from Nikki Cross and Peyton Royce, and then Ember Moon's music hits, and she comes out. And then right as she gets in the ring and starts continuing to, talk trash to the other two, Kairi Sane's music hits.
And do you notice? I'm sorry, I'm just so happy right now. Do you notice how just everything stops when that beautiful a woman's music hits? Because there's the argumentativeness, there's the bitterness. Oh, you want to get up in my face? Oh, I'll get up in your face. And yet when she comes out, she doesn't contribute to it, man. She doesn't contribute to the hostility or the aggression. She is just happy. Do you know how beautiful that is, to just be happy in this world, to not wake up and feel like to get through a day is like passing a goddamn kidney stone? But she's figured it out. She's like, no, I'm very competitive, but I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm gonna sail the 7 seas, and I'm gonna do my best. And I'm like, that's right, Kairi, you're gonna do your best because you're amazing. But no, Ember Moon's too busy jaw-jacking with Peyton Royce about who's better, and Nikki Cross is hamming it up like a motherfucker, and Kairi's just like, no,
knows, brother, that's all she knows.
She's like, no, I don't need to do any of that. I'm just so thankful to be in this fatal 4-way, and I'm like, oh God, my heart, adopt all the puppies, build all the shelters, just do everything. I don't know. I need to get Johnny Goodfellow amputated, because this is really starting to concern me a little bit. But I just
what are you gonna do if Kairi wins the title?
Well, the question is, what is TWitWoW going to do? Because if Kairi Sane wins the title, Johnny Goodfellow will probably take over. I won't be able to purge it. And then it'll be snickerdoodles and fun time all the time. And that's just disgusting. That is disgusting. But yet she comes out and she's just so radiant and positive and warm. And I'm like, ladies, take notes. We don't all have to kill each other. We're all wonderful. Support each other. And oh, God, make it stop. What came after this? Okay.
I really hope you feel better.
I purged all the rainbows from my insides. Let's continue. What happened next?
But what would Kairi say?
Oh God! Oh, all the collages, all the friendship movies. We'll have a Studio Ghibli marathon together, and I'll show her some American stuff, and we'll just be so grateful for each other. Oh God! Oh, please, for the love of God, move on.
All right. Well, we find out that we've got Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong tonight, and Aleister Black in action, and then we get a Drew McIntyre. I mean, it seems like paparazzi were kind of hounding him. And he got interrupted by Zelina Vega, and she asks Drew why the title match contract isn't on Regal's desk yet. And Drew repeats himself, because he already said he wants Andrade to be the one that asks him, not her.
Yeah, like, I kind of laughed at this, because first of all, Zelina is bringing all of that toot, okay? Like, I'm trying to have a press conference, and you act like I ran over your dog or some shit with the attitude that you're bringing to me.
So I haven't brought this up yet, I don't think, but did you ever notice how inconsistent Zelina's accent is?
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you said something. Because, like, I noticed the accent kind of slipping in and out tonight, and I'm like, is it just me? And then clearly by you saying something first, it isn't.
I feel like a good, 90-95% of what she says is just kind of a nondescript American accent. Like, there's nothing really weird about it or anything. But then every now and then, she'll kind of slip out like a Hada or a Neva.
Yes.
A really hard Brooklyn accent for no reason. And a little bit more subtle. Sometimes instead of saying, I don't know, sometimes, she'll say sometimes, and she'll overemphasize her S's, which is kind of identifiably a Spanish accent.
Right.
It's like she's got 3 different accents going on. Now, granted, it's mostly just the nondescript American accent, but she gets these little traces of the Brooklyn thing and the Spanish thing, and it bugs the shit out of me. Because if you're gonna have an accent, have an accent. But if you're not, then just don't, please.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, I don't want to be a dick about it, but it is kind of off-putting to me. And you know, at the same time too, like I love Drew's calm response, because if I was him, I would have been like, clean your ears out. I already told you, have Andrade challenge me. But he just calmly states again, like, oh hey, you know, just have him do it, and when he does, I'll say, you know, gracias, and he'll get his match.
I love that. I've told you once, I'll told you twice. I suppose I'll have to tell you thrice. I love that line. That was so good.
It's like, oh, Drew, you're adorable. I've been like,
he said thrice in casual conversation. Like
he did.
Hero.
That is boss level right there. And yeah, he just tells her again, like, have him challenge me personally. He will get his match. I will fight anybody. Just ask Roderick Strong. You know, he asked for a match, gave it to him. Just, you know, go through the process, more or less. And yeah, he leaves, and then the interviewers are like, Zelina, do you have anything to say? That I'm not here to talk to you. Well, all right then.
It's not. No, that's the thing though. She didn't say I'm not here to talk to you. She said I'm not here to talk to you. Like again, like the random slipping in of the Brooklyn accent for no reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love like how into her role she is, and I love how she's playing it for sure. But that's sliding.
Oh, I absolutely love her character. I love the role that she's playing, and I love most of her promos. I just can't understand why she's got such an inconsistent accent. Like that's literally the only negative thing I have to say about her.
Yeah, because if she would just pick one manner of speaking, like, we would be so golden. But I can't help but notice it when she talks. So yeah, what came after this, brother?
After this, we had Aleister Black coming out for a match, but Velveteen Dream attacks him from behind and locks him up in the ropes and demands that Aleister Black says his name. And he's so just enthusiastic about trying to get Aleister to say his name that he ends up slapping him not once but twice. And then Black is just staring at him in defiance, like, no, bitch, I'm not going to do anything you want me to do because I don't negotiate with terrorists. And then Velveteen Dream runs off the ropes, trying to build up some momentum to hit Black with something a little more devastating. But Aleister Black, being the ninja that he is, gets his feet up to boot Dream in the face. And in the meantime, while doing that, it also happens to untangle his arms. Convenient or literal ninja skills. I don't know. You be the decider. And then he does a little attempt at Black Mass, but Dream gets out of the way and out of the ring. And then he's got this kind of like somewhat triumphant look on his face because he managed to dodge Black Mass, which seems to be something that not very many people can do. But he's still pretty clearly in pain from the boots to the face earlier.
Yeah, first of all, I can clearly tell that you were feeling yourself throughout your whole portion of the review. I love how you said Dream to start, but then Velveteen Dream, like you were really feeling that, and then like, oh, he doesn't negotiate with terrorists. So I have to collect myself now. Thanks for that. But I love this, man. I hate to sound like I'm on like permanent repeat here with these guys, but they're just so good together. They are. I have no idea how they found out what me and James do in the privacy of our bedroom with the whole tying up and slapping bit, but you know, it worked for them here. I really got to say it was great. And Velveteen Dream, like his body language and his facial expressions were so on point here because he could tell like he was close. And Aleister Black was like, don't fuck with me. And can I just say too, and now that this may be an irrelevant point, but it's just something that came to my mind watching this. I love that commentary pointed out that this is the most vulnerable we've seen Aleister Black, and that Velveteen Dream is the one that gets that distinction. Because I feel like anywhere else, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest. Aleister Black, I think we can all agree, is a badass. Like, he's got a badass presentation. His kickboxing.
Yeah, it's like a badass and then like a homoerotic guy that most people wouldn't really put money on being that type.
Exactly. And thank you, Asha, for saying it explicitly, because I think anywhere else, this spot, I'm not even saying it negatively because I like the guy, but I feel like this spot would have gone to, say, like a Lars Sullivan. Like, oh, look how he's manhandling Aleister Black. We've never seen it like that. But to know that it's Velveteen Dream getting in his head, picking his spots, and yes, making him vulnerable, I just think is the coolest fucking shit. Because what it does, right, is it makes Velveteen Dream look so legitimate in there without any cost, in my mind, to Black. And that's how you know you've hit a sweet spot. When you can elevate one guy without denigrating the other guy, because I still see Aleister Black as everything we've said he is. That hasn't changed. But now I'm seeing more stock in Velveteen Dream, and it does my heart wonders to know that NXT seemingly feels the same way. I love this. I thought this was so good. I love that Black, again, even in that compromising position, wouldn't capitulate to Dream and fought his own way out.
Defiant to the very end.
And that's a great babyface quality. That's a babyface quality that, again, complements that badassery. And that's what I'm saying when you enhance Dream without lowering Black, because Black still doesn't give in. He still doesn't indulge in Dream's whims. And instead he gives him a boot to the face. And again, big props to commentary, because I got to tell you, the one good thing about NXT, and I know you had the heat of the night and we hashed out some of NXT's deficiencies on our bar scale, but one thing I feel like they've been getting consistently right, or that I've just been noticing a lot more, I am loving the McGuinness-Ronaldo duo, because again, commentary steps up. Yeah, because again, they step up, right, and say that, oh, Dream avoided Black Mass and what a big deal that was. Like, yes, this is what great commentary in a WWE setting fucking sounds like, and I love it. I mean, if you just give Percy a ball of yarn to play with for an hour and just have these two talk, I will be so good. So good. I love these two. Yes, this is how you make somebody, because I'm telling, and again, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, and I apologize.
When was the last time we had a better feud than this one in any context in WWE, regardless of where in WWE it is?
I couldn't even tell you. And you know what, dude? You know what the poetic irony of it all is? This is completely antithetical to the problems that we've been addressing for the majority of the review. And with the women's division, this has nothing to do with championships. Yep. And that's one of the reasons why I think I love it so much, is because this isn't about number one contenders or moving up the ladder. Velveteen Dream wants to be validated by Aleister Black. He sees himself as Black's opposite, and it works so fucking well. And when you have commentary that's this on point, always made him look so vulnerable, always dodge Black Mass. They have made Velveteen Dream look so good that he is going to come out of this, even if he does ultimately lose their encounter, which I fully expect him to, he's still going to come out of this looking like money to me. Because
but what if he doesn't, though?
If he doesn't, that'll be fucking huge. But here's the thing, like you say that you're not like a mark for championships and this and that. One thing that I've become less of a mark of, when done right, is wins and losses. And I think they've made Dream look so good through commentary, through Aleister Black, giving Velveteen Dream this much and not being a fucking mark for himself and being like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. That even if he does lose, I still think that he's come out better because of this feud, and that he'll go and have bigger profile feuds. Which is
I definitely agree with you there, man. I definitely feel like this feud has made Velveteen Dream kind of go from random former jobber in the background to an actual mainstay on the NXT television product.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. That was beautifully articulated. And to me, this match really has become one worthy of a takeover. And if they haven't pulled the trigger yet, I'm hoping that they have the same mindset. Because give these guys 15 minutes at a takeover, let them do their thing. And whether Black emerges victorious or Velveteen Dream gets what I would still call, even at this point, an upset, I think both guys look great in this. And once again, I'd have to say, I think this was my segment of the night tonight. So great job. Great job.
The only reason I won't go that far is because we had a pretty sexcellent main event tonight.
We did. And see, that's why I said segment, because, I mean, obviously it wasn't a match. But, yeah, like, I think this and the main event were really what made NXT a fun experience for me, if nothing else.
Which was really just kind of the entire second half of the show.
Yeah, second half was very good then. Yeah.
Like the first half of the show was like a 5.56 out of 10, and then the second half of the show was like an 8.5, 9 out of 10 kind of deal.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And with that said, what did come after this segment?
We got a little bit of an announcement just saying about how next week we would get Eric Young and Alexander Wolf versus the Authors of Pain for the NXT tag titles. And then we got into our main event of the evening, Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong. And also, before we actually get into the match, Zelina Vega cuts another promo about how Drew McIntyre knows what it takes to climb the mountain of success, and she does too. And that she reminds him that the higher he climbs, the harder it is to breathe, and that Drew cannot breathe the rarefied air that Andrade belongs in.
Something about when she said, it's funny because I know we've been kind of pegging on her accent a little bit, but when she said rarefied air, it felt so right. Because I'm like, yeah, Andrade is excellence. I mean, we'll never know it because, you know, we can't even beat Adam Cole. God, that's still depressing to think about. But
why
you know,
like bringing it up, God.
Well, I didn't know that it still emotionally injured you. God, journal much?
Well, it emotionally injured you. Why wouldn't it do the same to me?
Yeah, well, yeah, especially because you were closer than I was, and you just couldn't hold on to it. I mean, that's really gotta hurt. But regardless,
I think about that morning every day, John.
Wow, that was really a dick move of me to say. I'm really not a good person. God, this self-awareness is kind of scaring me a little bit. But anyway, Andrade, just, yeah, it's so good seeing him in this spot. And look, man, I'm going to have you take over the review for the first bit because, like, you know, when it comes to people that I love and adore, I never shut the fuck up. So what did you think about Andrade Cien Almas versus Roderick Strong?
This was a really good match. I wouldn't complain if we got this exact match again at TakeOver, just because they could do it for like a number one contendership kind of thing. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this match. I thought that Andrade looked great as always. Roderick is, I think I finally found a good adjective to describe Roderick, a good superlative to describe Roderick.
Which is?
I think Roderick Strong is the most sudden performer in all of NXT.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
It's like he just strikes you out of nowhere when you just can't expect it. Like it's just instant. Like when he could be selling and he could go from selling to kneeing you in the face faster than anyone else in the company.
Yeah, I love that, man. God, you are just so on point with your sound bites. But yeah, I love this main event too, dude. I thought it was so freaking good. And you know what I thought about, of course, being the Andrade mark. Now, I don't think commentary mentioned this, and I'm not holding it against them that they didn't. But this wasn't even the first time that these guys have met. Remember that they had a match at NXT TakeOver San Antonio, which Andrade lost because that's when Roderick was kind of on the ascent. And it
which just shows you how far Andrade's come under the tutelage and obviously with the actual literal physical help of Zelina Vega.
Yes, which that too was crazy because, like, you know, that's why I'm loving her. And I've always had an appreciation for valets and managers, especially ones that are like physically animated. You know, one of my favorite parts of Lucha Underground is Famous B. Love Famous B, and I love that whole storyline because I think managing is a lost art. I know you always bring up, and I still haven't, you know, watched their work, but you always bring up Captain Lou Albano, you know, and stuff like that. Like I feel like it's kind of a lost art because the only one really around, at least in like a main roster context, seems to be Heyman. So Zelina was like a breath of fresh air, and I love that they gave that honor to Andrade. And man, like, are they going all the way with it? Because when Roderick is building up that momentum, and Zelina's like, oh God, you know, it's slipping. And she's very aggressive, like telling Andrade, you know, follow up, like over and over. That was another thing I know. Like, wow, she is really adamant that he follow the fuck up. Like, I would listen to her because I'd be scared of her. I'd be like, okay, but he kicked out. What do I do? Just don't beat me. Like, you know, she to me is very fierce, but I like that. I feel like, again, that's a contrast to what he needs because he's always been so lax, you know, the Tranquilo stuff. And
dude, I feel like this pairing, this Andrade Zelina pairing, not only does this combo have the stuff to get Andrade to the NXT Championship, I could see this duo being WWE champion on SmackDown Live.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hold it in. That
No,
was
seriously,
orgasmic.
like I could easily see them getting called up to SmackDown around WrestleMania after Shinsuke Nakamura's won the title and cheating their asses off to find a way to get Andrade to beat him for the title.
Yeah. Like dude, see that's I'm so happy you said that, right? Because even before Zelina, I know you and I would say on this podcast like how great Andrade is. And the guy, I mean, he may be 29 now, but at the time they were saying like, oh, he's only 28 and he's got so much to give and he's so fucking good. And I feel like
I'm pretty sure he's younger than that, actually.
I feel like I looked him up very recently and he was 20. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of another talent. 27. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he's 27. He'll be 28 in a week or two.
Oh, in a week? Oh, wow. Look at that. But, well, I guess regardless than 27, I guess at the time then I would have said 26 is probably what I said. Only 26 years old.
Yeah. Last year at this time we were saying that.
Yeah, and like I'll even say I know he was in the chat earlier and he said it, but like Deluxe Man even at first he was like, oh, Andrade, like yeah, he has good matches, but I don't really get it. I don't really get like why you're a fan of his or this and that. And now with Zelina Vega, he's like, you know what, this is cooking for me now. I dig it. And I do think that was kind of a missing piece for him because he's got all the ability. The guy, to me, at this point, could have a great match with anybody. And maybe it's just because I enjoy him that much, and I will readily admit that. But I think, he's just so good in ring. And yeah, Zelina definitely enhances the act, which is great for her and great for him. And when she did that Hurricane Rana to Strong right into the steel steps, I'm like, damn, knowing, because you never know how far they'll let a manager go, especially with WWE's whole policy on, men can't hit women and we try and avoid interactions. So knowing that they let Zelina do it, mainly because I guess it was her on offense, I'm like, okay, that's cool as hell, because now if Andrade does get in the ring with McIntyre, what lengths is Zelina going to go to make sure Andrade wins? And when you're able to ask that question, this act is working because, okay, how far do her talents go? We've seen with Gargano, she's willing to employ psychological tactics with the DIY t-shirt. Roderick Strong, physical violence. But when the title's at stake, what are we going to see from her? Which that really says something that I'm asking what we're going to see from her when Andrade is probably one of the best in-ring workers that NXT has right now. It's insanity, but I love this match. I love both these guys. Roderick is insane, and I love that he's not going to be left out in the cold because the post-match got everybody still talking about him, which is great, and we'll get to that in a second. This is another stellar main event for Andrade, and it definitely seems like it, at TakeOver Houston, we're going to get Andrade versus Drew McIntyre. That match is going to be freaking amazing. I think I have very high expectations for that match. It does depress me that at this point, I really don't see Andrade winning, and I'd want him to win so freaking bad. But you know what? Just to see Andrade in this spot, it does my heart so good, man, because he's so fucking talented. So yeah, great main event. Great main event. And happy for Andrade and Zelina for this success.
Absolutely, yeah. This is a really, really fun main event. I loved that Zelina Vega doesn't just get involved by, telling Roderick telling Andrade what to do and shouting orders and making sure that he stays focused. But when he sends Roderick Strong to the outside and then starts talking to the referee, Jack Jawin and stuff like that, Zelina does a goddamn Hurricane Rana off the apron onto Roderick but into the steel steps.
Yeah. I mean, my mouth dropped when I saw that. I'm like, no way did she just do that. And like, I loved it. So freaking good.
That was
a
freaking awesome moment.
Andrade wins.
Dude, that popped the crowd like crazy too. That was such a good moment.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I loved how responsive the crowd was to it too. You make a great point. And then after they win, they go and they meet commentary, and Zelina pretty much says the next week Andrade is going to meet Drew face to face, which makes me so fucking happy because I get Andrade on my computer screen 2 weeks in a row. Yes.
Hooray.
Keep me erect, goddammit. Keep it going. But then, and I'm going to hand the reins back over to you, Ashton, because I think you pop for this.
As long as they're not Romans.
I think you pop for this even more than I did, because we have Roderick collecting himself when who comes out? the Undisputed Era, led by the always magnificent Adam Cole, baby.
Did I do or say something to lead you to believe that I popped for this more than you did?
You said, oh, it's over, I think, when it went off the air, which kind of implied to me that you wanted to see more interaction between, the Undisputed Era and Roderick, especially with how they ended things. Oh. And, like, I loved it, too, but it made me seem like you were really into what was going on with that whole dynamic.
I think it was more just, like, I feel like we were kind of left hanging there because it was like they proposed something to Roderick and Roderick looked like he was still mulling it over when they went off the air. I was like, what the hell, man? I wanted to know what he was going to say. I wanted to know what his decision was.
Dude, I'm going to be honest, just to get it out of the way early and then leave the rest to you. God, my Johnny Scumbag was full force watching this. Like, if Kairi Sane tapped into my Johnny Goodfellow, which is a horrifying thing for me, I was like, I wanted Roderick to put the band on. I wanted him to put it on in front of the Undisputed Era while they wouldn't have even booed. That's the crazy thing. This crowd wanted him to take it. They were like, yes, yes, yes. And I'm like, what is going on in Full Sail tonight? Like, isn't the Undisputed Era supposed to get heat? Which I guess really shouldn't surprise me in hindsight. But yeah, like, I wanted Roderick to put it on and spit in everybody's face and, be a dick mule, because Roderick Dick Mule Strong is amazing. Like, it's oh, God, so good. But yeah, they left us hanging.
I can hear your penis getting erect as we speak.
I know, right? God, it's so right. Yes, yes. But we were left hanging. Woo! We were left hanging, and we don't really know, like, how that's all going to resolve itself. So, what about you? Were you kind of looking for Roderick to spit in everybody's face and to just kind of be a piece of shit? I mean, what were you thinking about it?
See, this is how you know that you and I are wired completely differently. In my mind, I was hoping that we would see Roderick Strong. We were talking about how sudden he was earlier, throw a knee in Adam Cole's face and fight off all three of them by himself.
Oh, okay.
Or at least try to fight off all three of them by himself, end up getting beat down, and then help comes out to help him. Maybe Lio Rush, maybe Donovan Dijak, I don't know.
So you're like Drew McIntyre, you're better than that, Roddy. And like, yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. Sell out. Sell out your family right now. Sell out. God, I am really feeling myself tonight.
You are a really disturbed human being.
I mean, potato. Am I right? But yeah, I mean, just staring at the armband when, he should have put it on and just making it seem like, well, will I do the wrong thing? Won't I? Who's to say?
Don't even act like you wouldn't have marked out at least a little bit if you would have tossed it up in the air so that Adam Cole would like look up, and then by the time Adam Cole looks down, there's already a knee in his face.
Are you saying that you want Adam Cole's perfect jawline to come into contact with violence?
Oh, please. If something's perfect, that means it's also impenetrable. Adam Cole's jawline would have been fine. It was for the sake of the story.
Fine. God, you and your argumentativeness. But look, would that have been cool? Yes. But am I also a scumbag? Yes. And I wanted the heel turn.
I know you're kind of playing a scumbag, but you don't need to lean into it.
Well, maybe it isn't even leaning. Maybe I just looked at it and I'm like, yes, Roderick, you've been losing all this time. And you know what that makes you, by definition, according to Merriam-Webster? A loser.
Don't say it. You said it. Now you disagreed with Adam Cole, and now you're forcibly wrong.
Oh, look. I know Adam Cole is a philanthropic soul, okay? And he knows what Roderick's capable of. But he's not going to be capable of it listening to them. Have you seen them? Oh, God, they can't even dream of waking up.
Man, I enjoy cutting promos on the Full Sail crowd as much as anyone, but that's not what we're here for.
Look, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just making a point that Roderick's been on a babyface route, and how many championships has that won him? Goose egg. How many wins has that
Adam Cole's been on a scumbag route, and how many NXT championships has that won him? Nothing.
Okay, well, that's clearly a failure of management. Okay, you and I both know that. Don't go there. That's.
I mean, you're not wrong in the sense that he hasn't even gotten a shot yet, but the point still stands.
Fine. Look, let's just settle it because I know we still have another segment to get to. But Roderick's gonna sell out, and I'm gonna be there when he does.
I don't think he is. Man. I think he's gonna stay true to his family.
You know who else I used to think that about? Sami Zayn. But he proved to me that even common sense can happen to people like him. So I know Roderick.
Let me just get this cleared up and out of the way immediately. Because you effectively did predict Sami Zayn's heel turn, Does that mean that you're going to expect everyone that you want to turn heel to actually turn heel from now on because you got the one thing right?
Well, I mean, it's only in accordance with natural law as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God. This is going to be a really interesting next 12 months.
Yeah, indeed it is, my friend.
I'm just sitting here wondering how many incorrect predictions it's going to take to beat your ego back down to where it was before you got the one right.
Given that it's still a smoldering fire to begin with, probably not many. But hey, man, in all seriousness, I will say this. I thought it was a great segment, great tease of tension. You know, I do genuinely believe, being serious, that he would be a great fit. But at the same time, if he were to resist, my thing is, right, and this is what it comes down to, and this is what I realized, you know, during the main event. I don't like to watch Roderick talk because we know he's a weak promo. I want to see him compete because I think his personality and his emotion comes out in his in-ring product. So if he's having a story with the Undisputed Era where he's antagonistic to them, great. It keeps him in the fold. If he joins them and they run roughshod, great, because I genuinely loved heel Roderick in PWG and thought he was an amazing heel champion. I just want to keep Roderick in the conversation. I don't want him on the margins just yet because I think he has so much to give, and this is a great ending segment for NXT. And I'm glad that even though he lost to Andrade and Andrade's ascending to the championship, that doesn't mean that Roderick just kind of twiddles his thumbs until the next championship-based storyline comes his way. So good shit, man. Good shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's about all we have to say tonight, though, man.
Yeah, and we can move on to our next segment, high spots and low shots. I hate to do this to you, and I hate to do this to everybody, but my low shot's Billy Kay. Because
yeah, you're not wrong, but it still hurts.
Because, yeah, I mean, you had a chance to eliminate Nikki Cross when her back was turned, but of course, Nikki Cross being OP, she held on, and then you tried getting your boot, and it got caught up in the rope, and yeah, you're not joining your best friend to take over Houston. She's doing things on her own because whether we, want to admit it or not, and we've admitted it many times on the podcast, they think that she's better than you. And so this is what you get, my low shot award. And it sucks, but that's the way it goes. Who's your low shot?
That was just painful to have to agree with. I guess my low shot is going to have to go to Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I won't give my low shot to Roddy because he had a great match, and then he kind of had like sort of a spotlight moment at the end of the show, even though he did lose. So I've got to give it to these two because damn man, like they got their first match as a tag team and they lost to these guys.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. High spot. Hey, you know what? I don't know how many more times, within the next few weeks I'll be able to say this. My high spot's Andrade Cien Almas. Amazing competitor that apparently is only going to be, 28 next week. He's still only 27 now. And again, he's one of the best in-ring workers in my mind in NXT right now. And he's really become well-rounded with the addition of Zelina Vega. He's finally looking at a one-on-one NXT championship match, which really does feel earned given how long he's been with NXT at this point. And yeah, things are just looking up for him. How up is anybody's guess. But for tonight, he gets my high spot. So congratulations, Andrade El Idolo! Yeah.
Do you know what that means in Spanish?
Doesn't that mean the idol? Because idolo
yes.
is idol, right? Yes! Yes! I was put under the gun of being bilingual, and I fucking did it. Yes! Suck my dick, Rosetta Stone. Anyway, who's your high spot?
Wow, that was a little over the top. Just to clarify, by the way, Andrade won't be 28 by the time we review NXT next week, but he will be 28 by the following week by the time we review NXT. So,
well, there you go.
It's coming. It's coming. Anyway, my high spot, since you took Andrade, I guess I might as well take Nikki Cross, because even though I'm not the biggest fan of hers, she still had an outstanding, over-the-top, ridiculously strong performance in the Battle Royal, and she ended up winning it. So she's going to be in the NXT 4-way Women's Championship match.
Yeah, I mean, no arguments here. And Nikki Cross, I mean, we'll see. maybe she will be the next NXT Women's Champion. When it comes to TakeOver Houston previewing predictions, that match is probably going to be the most fun to talk about, because I'm really wondering by the time we get there where you and I are going to be sitting with this match. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Is there anything else you want to say about NXT tonight?
I don't think so. I think we can close it on out and get out of here and do some other stuff.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Guys, all of TWitWoW's media and everything that TWitWoW is associated with is in the description box. Please check it out. Two things I want to plug. One, the Teespring store. You guys already know our offerings. We've got a Braun Strowman inspired shirt. I'm not finished with you. And an Emma inspired shirt, because WWE Shop won't give her merch. Alicia Fox got merch before Emma did. Now, I got nothing against Foxy, but goddamn, you complain on Lillian Garcia's podcast, you get a shirt. Emma's been putting in quality performances for God knows how long, and she's got diddly shit on WWE Shop. But you know what? That's cool. That's cool, because my cohort and commentary stepped up to the plate like a proud member of the fandom, and he made one of his best shirts to date, in my mind, the real face of the women's revolution. And yeah, it's got a little Emma facial silhouette with the glasses and everything else, and the lipstick. It's awesome, guys. Check it out. Buy it if you're an Emma fan. You won't regret it. I would still like to see her buy that tee, as a matter of fact. I think it looks so damn good. Outside of the Teespring, Patreon, guys, you know the goal. Progress review, actually live reactions, excuse me. We won it. We're at $102, $18 shy of the goal. We are right there. Now, how can you help? You're probably thinking, oh man, John and Ash, my favorite wrestling podcast, they're in crisis. What do I do? Not to worry, dear viewer. You can help. I mean, the easiest way to help that's most beneficial to you and us, donate $3 and join the TWitWoW Discord. If 6 people did this, if 6 people donated $3, we'd have our goal right there, or 2 people 9, and you can Steiner math. You guys are intelligent. You know, join the Discord. It's the most intimate thing that we are offering right now to our fan base. You get to talk to Ashton and myself, as well as all of the really hardcore TWitWoW fans. You could talk about wrestling. I know there's a general tab to talk about games and movies. I was talking about games with a few friends on there. You know, a lot of good shit pops off in the Discord. You're going to want to be a part of it. I think it's an amazing experience. And again, it's only $3 a month. And the best part is, not only are you helping us towards our goal of Progress Live reactions, which, let's be honest, given that we are now in a Lucha Underground drought, okay, helps everybody, because Progress is amazing. You also get to help yourself. And at the end of the day, isn't that all that really matters? Because if you donate $3 and you consistently donate $3, say, for the one point that I always like to use, 10 months, that's $30. You know what you can do with that? You know what you can do with that money you've accrued? You can cash it in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show of your choosing. Content control. I mean, that's as close to being a god on here as you'll possibly attain. You get to decide what we live react to. That is huge. I always call it a win, 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 because of how beneficial it is to all parties, guys. Again, we are so close. I want us to get there. I still think we'll get there before year's end at least, and I want to be proven right on that, because look at my face. Is this a face that you really want to prove wrong? I mean, I know you can't see it, but trust me when I tell you, I am a sexy beast. I cannot be proven wrong about stuff. It's very damaging to my ego. So let's get this done, guys. Let's get to 120. Be a part of the Discord. It's an amazing experience. Do what you can. We greatly appreciate it. With that said, only other thing I want to plug is Q&A. That is tomorrow. And holy fuck, do I need to start compiling your guys' questions. I can't believe Q&A is here already. This has got to be the first Q&A that feels like it really snuck up on me here. And if you feel like it snuck up on you too, do not fret. There is still time to submit questions. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. best mediums to submit your questions. Everybody is permitted up to 4 questions per Q&A. And as far as what you can ask, I mean, go nuts. You guys always have. I think you know the rules by now, and you already know you can divvy them up however you want. It could be all 4 for both of us. If you want a specialized question for Ashton or myself, that's fine too. So, guys, we'll see you at Q&A tomorrow. And I'm assuming we're going live at 8 for that, Ashton?
It depends on how many questions we have. It might be 7, so people should probably just assume it'll be 7.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Assume that it's going to be 7, guys, unless we say otherwise. We'll probably just.
And that's EST or EDT. I'm not really. Let's just say EDT for now. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, so just assume 7, guys, because it seems like the most convenient time for people overseas like Paul William Gregor, who I think is still with us. Thank you for staying up this late, Paul. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, we'll see you then for Q&A. Should be a lot of fun. Till then, guys, tune in. Peace out.